Good evening and welcome to another installment of the New York Minute Sports Show. I've got your AL East report. Blue Jays, Yankees sweep, and the Red Sox lose to the Reds. It's New York Minute Sports. It's New York Sports for New York Nuts. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's go!
It's New York Minute Sports.
Well, there you have it, folks. Welcome to another installment of the New York Minute Sports Show. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. We got a little different version for you today. Usually I'm screaming my head off about Aaron Baboon, Bubbles, Buffoon, whoa, on the Yankees. But guess what? This is the AL East show. I'm busting down the top three teams in the AL East this year, which we know are the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, and the New York Yankees. And man, it's just good to have baseball back on. Little sacrilegious that the New York Yankees were not playing today on Sunday because they had to have the home opener on Netflix, but I digress. Let's start off with the smoking hot, piping red hot Toronto Blue Jays up in Toronto, took on the Oakland Athletics in a 3-game set, and they swept the Oakland A's. Guess what? Do not sleep on the Oakland A's. That team's got studs up and down the lineup making $11 a year, and the Toronto Blue Jays ran through them like a buzzsaw this weekend. I guess nobody informed the Toronto Blue Jays that 2025 ended because they didn't miss a step. It looked like the same exact team from October. They bottled up the same magic from 2025 and brought it over to 2026. They get the walk-off win with Andres Jimenez, 3-2. Took extra innings in 11, game 2. And then in game 3, they win 5-2. Toronto completely dominated, swept. And you know what? That place was rocking this weekend. And you know what? I was talking about being worried about the pitching. I'm going to call myself out on this one. Kevin Gausman, 11 strikeouts and strong. Dylan Cease, another strong performance. So the starting pitching is there. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is doing splits at first base. I don't know how a boy that big can bend that way. Must be a Dominican thing. Must be an island thing because, God, I saw that guy do a split at first. My chops hurt. But the Toronto Blue Jays were red hot. So I got some questions for you, Blue Jays fans. Do you feel disrespected in the large scheme of things, as far as odds to win the World Series? I know that you might not be concerned about that, but as far as I'm concerned, talking to Blue Jays fans, they feel like they're getting disrespected. And know what's really dangerous? A really good baseball team that has a chip on their shoulder that went to the dance last year. The Toronto Blue Jays do not look complacent. The Toronto Blue Jays look like they are on an absolute mission this year and will not be stopped. But since I'll stop blowing them for 2 seconds, let's talk about the nitty-gritty. Your closer's a problem. Okay, this started to rear its evil head last year at the end of the season. The guy was lights out. Then he started to get a little blip on the radar. So I know it's only 3 games in, but guess what? I'm an enthusiastic baseball fan. Obviously, I'm a New York nut, and this is the way that we break down baseball right here on New York Minute Sports. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Another question to you Blue Jays fans is Toronto the hardest place to play in the AL East? I'm a Yankee fan. I've been to 380 Yankee games at Yankee Stadium, old and new. That place is intimidating. That place is loud. But there is a juice going on up at the Rogers Center in Toronto where those fans were locked in, and I can tell there's a movement up there. The thing about Canada when baseball is really good, you can even see it in the Montreal documentary on Netflix, which was really good. I highly recommend watching that, and that team was stacked. But when the Canadian fans have a high, good product in Toronto, they will come out in droves and support their team. So there is a big movement going up on Toronto right now. The Blue Jays look like they're cooking with Crisco, and they are going to be a formidable team. To a lot of guys in the comments, especially Jeff, who watches this show, one of the biggest Blue Jay fans I know, he feels like they're getting disrespected. So let me know in the comments, do you also think that they're getting disrespected? Now let's move on to my least favorite team, and the reason I gave up consuming New England clam chowder and never drank Sam Adams beer is because of the Boston Red Sox. Also, What does a beach chair and the Boston Red Sox have in common? They both fold up at Labor Day, but I digress. Hopefully, they will fold up at Labor Day, but their pitching seems like it is on the next level, especially guys like Garrett Crochet. Now, in the first game of the Boston Red Sox series, you really saw the kind of game that the Red Sox play. This is what they're going to do all season long. First game, 3-0. Garrett Crochet came out, was electric. Dude, he's my favorite to win the Cy Young this year. I think it's going to be between Dylan Cease, Cam Schlittler, and Crochet out of the AL East. I think that's who's going to – and Scooble's always in contention. So those are the top 5 guys I'm going to say. But Garrett Crochet is my early Cy Young award. He looked lights out and dominant. And you got to remember, the Boston Red Sox going against their old friends, Terry Francona, who's leading the Cincinnati Reds right now. And you got to remember, Terry's the one that led them to their first World Series ring in about 1,000 years. But the Red Sox have a big problem about where the hitting is going to come from. I want to kidnap Roman Anthony from your team. I am allowed. Listen, name your price, Boston Red Sox. Any of those guys in AAA that you want, let me pry Roman Anthony from you to play left field for us. I'll give you the whole team. I'll put the name on the stadium, okay? Because this guy is one of the most budding, biggest stars in Major League Baseball right now. But with you guys, you can't have Trevor Story strike out 6 times in this series. You know, the strikeouts are a problem for the Boston Red Sox, and that's a dangerous combo. It reminds me of the Yankees a few years ago, is where they did nothing but have really good pitching and absolutely no hitting. So it always seemed like if a team scored 2 runs, you were going to lose the game. So the Red Sox, Cincinnati Reds, they take each other on. And the Reds wind up winning the series against the Boston Red Sox. You know what? The positives, strong starting pitching, highlighted by Garrett Crochet's dominant debut, like I just said. Young players like Willie Abreu stepped up. And that's the thing. The Boston Red Sox are a development team just like the New York Yankees are. That's why it's so similar between the Boston Red Sox and the Yankees. The pitching is 1A, 1B. I can't tell which staff is better. But the Yankees and Red Sox are going to be playing a lot of 5-2, 3-0 games this year if the pitching pans out the way that we see it. But the Boston Red Sox are going to have to mash sometimes. And where is that offensive power going to come from with Bregman not getting re-signed, hit a home run with the Chicago Cubs today? But you know what? It's still early in the season. The Cincinnati Reds are not the joke that they used to be. Okay, they are a strong team. They made the playoffs. They beat out the New York Mets last year to make the playoffs last year. So you know what? Also, before I leave on the Red Sox, Sonny Gray. Now, Red Sox, this isn't shade. Now, when I break down the Red Sox, I'll be a little tongue-in-cheek, but this is genuine questions to you guys. Sonny Gray, how do you feel about him? You know, listen, man, if I had my druthers and I was a Red Sox fan, I would have went hard in the paint for Dylan Cease and tried to take him away from Toronto because that's a great acquisition. Dylan Cease had a great outing. I think he had some like 14 Ks. But that's the guy, like a Dylan Cease. Sonny Gray could not handle the pressure in New York. He cannot handle big markets. And I've said this before. I think it's harder to play in Boston than it is to play in New York. Now, hear me out for a second. If you play in New York, the teams are split between the Mets and Yankees. If you play in Boston and the New England area, which is like 5 different states, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, half of Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maine, Vermont, they're all Red Sox fans. So even if you move anywhere around 6 states, your mailman's going to be a Red Sox fan. Everyone you run into is going to be a Red Sox fan. And guess what? They don't have a problem telling you suck to your face in public. So now a guy like Sonny Gray, who was shitting on the Yankees after he left, which is no big deal. Hey, listen, things don't work out. I throw Sonny Gray into the Frankie Montas area of signings by the New York Yankees where they're just not made for New York. They just can't cut the mustard, and they can't handle the pressure. Sonny Gray looked a little awkward, and not to mention, Sonny Gray had some time with Cincinnati, so maybe he was pressing a lot, but do you feel comfortable about him in a big spot in the playoffs? Because pressure doesn't seem like that's something that Sonny Gray really deals with very well. But let's move to my beloved New York Yankees. And this weekend, what a dominant pitching performance by the New York Yankees. Max Fried, who had absolutely nothing this weekend, went 6 innings, struck out 5, and still got the W. That's the greatest thing about Max Fried. Max Fried is becoming a great pitcher. I've said this before, that left-handers at about 28 to 29 years of age really mature. Look at Garrett Crochet. Look at Max Fried now. Look at Randy Johnson when he was a lefty. Things start to click around the 30-year mark, and now he can go out there, have absolutely no control over his pitches, and still tough it out and go 6. Then when Gerrit Cole comes back, Carlos Rodón comes back, who's the ace of this team? For the New York Yankees, you might have 3 aces. The Blue Jays have 2. The Red Sox have 2. The Yankees might have 3. And that leads me to my next guy, Cam Schlittler. I listen, man, I don't get really excited about pitchers. You know, I've lived through Phil Hughes and Jobber Chamberlain and Ian Kennedy and the Michael Pinedas of the world and the Big Maples, and the list goes on and on. Cam Schlittler I am so excited about this guy. They broke down a video today where he has 3 different types of fastballs. He's got a cutter, got a changeup, got a regular fastball, but he takes a little relish off that hot dog. And what the crazy part about his pitches is, they have the same line until about a foot away from the plate, and then it just breaks. His stuff is so deceptive and so effortlessly thrown at 100 miles an hour. I think this guy is going to be in the top 5 of pitchers this year. I heard reports come out on MLB.com that there's reports coming out this year that the New York Yankees were throwing everything but the kitchen sink to get Paul Skeens pried away from the Pittsburgh Pirates. You know, and usually they just love to gamble their future, and now their farm system's actually good with arms. The positional players are another story. But the New York Yankees were about to risk it all for Paul Skeens last season, and now you don't need to do that anymore. Paul Skeens is the best pitcher in Major League Baseball. He just gave up 5 runs in his first outing of the year, and that's baseball, Susan. And also, it would help if O'Neal Cruz could play center field. But he just gave up 5 earned runs in his first start of the year. Not taking anything away from him, he was dominant in the World Baseball Classic. But my point is that the Yankees might already have Paul Skeens in the house making $500,000 a year in Cam Schlittler at 24 years of age, who hasn't even filled out into his frame yet. Then you have guys like LeGrand in AAA, and then you have a guy like Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, who's a great 3 or 4 guy. The point being is that the New York Yankees might have 3 aces on this team, and the starting staff, when all healthy, is going to be very, very dangerous. Now, the New York Yankees set records in their opening day last year against the Milwaukee Brewers. I was in the house. They had that crazy 9-home-run game. This year, they flip-coined it. They decided to set records on the pitching side with 2 shutouts in the first 2 games against the San Francisco Giants. First time it happened since 1908 in San Francisco's history. That's what they're going to rely on this year, man. It's going to be pitching. Their defense better pick it up a little bit. I like the tandem of Jazz Chisholm and Caballero in the 6 and 7 spot. They've been working as a great tandem. Aaron Judge is starting to heat up. You can see when he belts singles down the third baseline, then he starts to elevate. He's starting to get hot. He's not even hot right now. Then he starts to take his aim to right center. When Aaron Judge is hitting home runs to right center, that's when Aaron Judge is piping hot. Another guy who's piping hot for the New York Yankees is none other than Big G. It's got 6 hits already this year. He's already got 1 bomb that still hasn't landed yet. And like I've always said on this show, as long as Giancarlo Stanton stays healthy, the New York Yankees can do whatever they want on the offensive side of the ball. Now, the downside of what was going on. Didn't like the lineup construction of Game 2. I got a lot of shit about that I was splitting hairs, but I can't take the bench on this team. I don't like the way that the lineup and the roster was assembled out of spring training, but guess what? That's why I'm not running the New York Yankees, and that's why I'm running my own YouTube channel, is because obviously the Yankees know a little bit better with me, and they are locked and loaded and have depth. But the New York Yankees, I think that they're going to fall into a lot of what they did in Game 2 and Game 3. Wait around for the long ball, and I don't want to see that. The version of the New York Yankees that I want to see this year is in the first game, the 7-0 game, and it's not because they scored 7 runs. It's because they scored 7 runs without any home runs in the game. The New York Yankees need to play more like the Toronto Blue Jays, put the bat to the ball, and for their credit, in this series, they did work counts very well. Let's hope this carries over. Jazz Chisholm hitting 76% of the effort. I am so excited about this guy's season. Listen, I don't agree with the way that he conducts himself, but in that first interview on the Netflix broadcast, when he was having that interview, it seems like he showed a little maturity in that one. So if we get a Jazz Chisholm that has matured another year, and I always forget that these kids are so young and they're only 24, 25. God forbid I had a camera in front of my face and was a professional athlete at 25. I might be out of the league by now. So that being said, Jazz Chisholm looks scary. Aaron Judge is doing Aaron Judge things. Big G. We got Trent Grisham. He's getting on base. Got to give him props. Ben Rice looks good. The New York Yankees look good. And we got a first-place tie with the Toronto Blue Jays and the New York Yankees at first place, and the Boston Red Sox right now are in second place. This is my first episode of the AL East report, guys. Also, we're going to have our AL East merchandise line coming out. You can buy a t-shirt of your least favorite team in the AL East. I'll have more information for you coming out soon. But what I'm going to do is after every series, I'm going to do a roundup of the Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees, and Toronto Blue Jays. Now, if somebody gets knocked out of the top 3, let's say if the Boston Red Sox become a 4th-place team and the Orioles come into 3rd place, I'm going to start covering the Orioles on the AL East show right here on New York Minute Sports. We're only doing the top 3 because guess what? If the Blue Jays keep playing the way they're at, they're not going anywhere. If the Yankees can carry this over, they're not going anywhere. Now, the Red Sox are going to have to find some hitting. They got plenty of pitching, but all I know is that we've got baseball back, folks, right here. I got you covered on New York Minute Sports. It's New York Sports for New York Nuts. And remember, if you can't be good, be bad, baby. Good night, Canada! Bye.